Week 14 is here. We have got some weirdness towards the end of the week. We've got early starts due to MLK Day, and we're here to listen to Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I am regimented, disciplined, focused, driven, mature beyond my years, attentive, reflective, poised, respectful, confident, and a competitor. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Now is the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That is right. There is no need to win to get the bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. Also, run over to lockedondaily.com and check out the newsletters. Favorite NBA team, best NBA newsletter, and thumb up this video. Look at the trade deadline show. We're coming up on the 6th of February at 1 p.m. Eastern. It was very, very nice of the NBA to accommodate Tyrese Haliburton and all of his specific cultural and spiritual beliefs, and not allow him or not make him play on Sunday, which is, of course, World Snow Day. So, however you want to celebrate Snow Day, you've got the day there. It's there. Sunday, what day is it? I've lost my mind. Sunday the 19th of January. World Snow Day. Let's take a look at Week 14 in the NBA. Matchup 13 for a lot of leagues, but it is just Week 14. Let's take a look at how this schedule breaks down, because it is We've had such a good run of no high volume days for weeks, apart from the 11 games on Wednesday, but it's been just smooth sailing. Not as smooth sailing this week, so we're going to need to be very mindful. We're going to need to be very demure in terms of figuring out how we're going to approach the week. Why is that? Well, it starts off pretty normal. There's 8 games on Monday, which is MLK Day, which usually maybe I'm mistaken this, I believe in the past, MLK Day used to run 12 games. They'd start at like midday and run all the way through, but only 8 games this season, so whatever. That's where we're at. 5 games on Tuesday, 9 on Wednesday, 9 on Thursday. That's all pretty normal. That is a relatively busy Thursday. Then there's 3 on Friday. Hang on. That's pretty low. And then 14 on Saturday. What are we doing? Why is there 14 on Saturday? I know there are NFL playoffs on across the weekend, but 14 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. One game. 1 game on Sunday. I don't know what I'll do for that Sunday recap show. And I won't do a Saturday recap show. Unfortunately, I just won't be able to because of a bunch of family stuff. My son plays baseball on those days, and we're out all day trying to get that stuff sorted. So yeah, I wish I could do that. But anyway, that's beside the point. But we've got 14 games on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. So obviously, the weirdness at the end of the week there, where there are 18 games across 3 days, which could be cool. It could be 6-6-6. Shout out to Beelzebub. But it's not. It's 3, 14, and 1. Making our schedule plans have to be, obviously, slightly different. It is also a week where the volume of games just overall is low. We've got 10 teams playing 4 games. Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Cleveland, Dallas, Golden State, the Clippers, Memphis, New Orleans, and Portland. We have got 2 teams playing 2 games, and they are the Paris games, Indiana and San Antonio. And then the other 18 teams, I don't need to read out who they are because it's just the other teams that I haven't mentioned. 18 teams play 3 games. We always like to look at this part, right? Not to know just who's got 4 and 3, but to understand that if the vast majority of teams are playing 3 games, then when you have a 2-game team, it's not as big of a hit. But if you've got a guy playing 4 games, it's a big advantage. Like if this was the other way around, where there are 18 teams playing 4, 10 playing 3, and then those 2 playing 2, well, the 2-game teams get a huge hit because the majority of the league's playing 4. This time, it's still a hit, obviously. It's just not quite as big of a hit in this type of scenario, especially when you're considering weekly leagues and what you do with who to sit and who to start. When 20 teams are playing 3 or 2 and 10 are playing 4, it's the 4 with the advantage versus the other ones having the gigantic disadvantage. I know that seems like I'm saying the same thing, and maybe I am, but I don't think I am. And that's, I think, a pretty solid way to be able to look at how this stuff plays out. Let's go and have a look at the quality game scenario. Now, I think by now, most of you know what a quality game is. And if you don't, if you're watching for the first time, please drop a comment down below. Someone will answer it for you. And I'll explain what the quality games are. And I think most of you also by now will know how to figure out what the quality game scenario is for the week. Because we have every day, apart from Saturday, being a quality game day. There are 14 games on Saturday. That is not a quality game day. So we've got 6 quality game days for the week. And that means every team, because there's 14 games on Saturday, every team except 2 play on Saturday. So every team, apart from those 2, the Thunder and the Blazers, if they are a 4-game team, that means they've got 3 quality games. If they're a 3-game team, they've got 2 quality games. If they're a 1-game team, they've got 1 quality game. Apart from the Thunder and the Blazers, who don't play on the Saturday, so every one of their games is a streamable quality game day. But they are the only 2 teams that applies to. And for Portland, who their name is going to come up a lot in this show, they are a 4-game team. The Thunder, a 3-game team. And this is where the 4 versus 3 differentiation matters, because the Thunder are a 3-game team, right? So you go, they're in the bulk of that 18-team grouping. But they've got 3 quality games. So it's the same as Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Cleveland, Dallas, Golden State, the Clippers, Memphis, New Orleans. All of those teams have 3 quality games, all in terms of streaming and adding guys off the wire. So the Thunder guys, your Joe, Wiggins, the Hong Kong Mattress, Case and Wallace, Pig Williams, Alex Caruso, getting 3 games out of those is the same as getting 3 games out of Vic Krejci, or the 3 games out of Peyton Pritchard, or the 3 games out of whoever you want to say it in Charlotte. We're going to talk Charlotte and injuries later on, don't worry. 3 games of Karis LeVert, 3 games of Max Strus, 3 games of Spencer Dinwiddie. It's the same, even though the total volume of games for the week is different. So I guess now we try to look at the stream zone, and we try and figure out how best to attack streaming to maximize our games played for the week. And as we always do, it can be a little bit complicated, and I hope I'm able to explain this well. I'm doing this for the majority of people who run 10 starters, 3 bench, 10 starters, 4 bench, and you have 4 ads for the week. Now, if you've got 7, if you've got 3, if you've got 2, whatever, that's hard for me to give specific examples for everybody. We're doing a standard 4 ads scenario for the week. You can turn 1 roster spot into 6 games by using 3 moves. So you might have a Pacers player, you might have an Andrew Nembhard, TJ McConnell, Benedict Mathurin, for some reason Obi Toppin. You might have added Aaron Nesmith, and you can turn that player from 2 games into 6. That's a +4. That's a +4 spot. You can drop them at the start of the week, and you can use 3 moves. You can get a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. You can go Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. And then you can use Friday, Sunday, which is Portland, or you can individually target Friday or individually target Sunday, however you want to do it. But you can use all of your moves, 3 to 4 moves, turning a 2-game player or a 3-game player into 6. So it's a +4 or +3 in that spot. Yes? There is a situation where you can do even better. You can use 4 moves. You can have 2 streaming spots and turn 2 streaming spots into 6 games. You could turn 2 3-game players from very specific teams, which, of course, that would be 6 games in that spot, in those 2 spots. You can turn those 2 slots into 12 games by using 4 moves. It would be, 6 games from 2 spots into 12 games from 2 spots. So that's a +6 extra games. How do you do it? Well, you have to start this way. You have to have a player on your 2 players on your team from any of these, how many is it? 9 teams. Chicago, Detroit, Houston, Indiana, Minnesota, the Knicks, the Suns, the Spurs, and the Jazz. If you've got 2 players from those teams who are considered fringy, droppable players, you can have those guys and let them play on Monday. So they play their game on Monday, right? They play their game on Monday. And then for the next 6 days of the week, those 9 teams only play twice. So you can jack them off, get them off your team, totally remove them after Monday. So you've got 6 days left now, 2 streamable roster spots, and still all 4 of your moves. So then you can target a Nets player for Tuesday, Wednesday, and there are a lot of streaming options on the Nets. Clowney, Williams, Johnson, Wilson, Sharp, Ev11. There's a lot of different options on the Tuesday, Wednesday. And then you can flip that Nets player into a Blazers player. Banton, Scoot, Rob Williams, probably not. Avdia. It depends who's available. But you might be able to do this. Kamara, really good value here. Because they play 3 games, the Blazers, 4 nights. 3 games, 4 nights. All quality games to end the week. Now, it's a very, very specific situation. You've got to have someone from one of those 9 teams, drop them after Monday, and then have the ability to find 2 Blazers guys to be able to switch onto. It's probably not going to work for a lot of people. But if your league's a little bit asleep at the wheel, and you can see, well, Scoot's there, Banton's there, Kamara's there, Avdia's available, maybe we look at Chris Murray. Because Chris Murray might not be exciting, but getting 60 minutes of play out of one roster spot is pretty useful. For one roster spot, one move, 60 minutes of play, which Murray might get. And he might play 25 minutes in some of those games. You might get 75 minutes of action out of Chris Murray, which again seems like nothing. He seems useless, Chris Murray, because he is. But if you can get 75 minutes for one move and one roster spot, Thursday through Sunday, it actually adds up. Does it add up to something huge? No, but just say he averages 10, 3, and 2. So 30, 9, 6, 2 steals, a block. Pretty good. It's a pretty good stream. And you're able to do that if there's 2 different options. It's him, it's Banton, I feel like there's somebody else I'm missing in this group, but it's Scoot. It's these sort of guys. Yeah, it's going to be hard to find Scoot available after that Wednesday. But it is also worth noting that the Blazers play once in the first 3 days of the week. So it is very specific. It is possible, but I wanted to alert you to that fact. The easy way to do it is just turn one roster spot into 6 games. Turn a 3-game player or a 2-game player, a fringe Spur, Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Champagny, Castle. Turn that Spurs guy with 2 games into 6 by streaming through. Easy enough. That's the easy way to do it. But in a very specific circumstance, you can get a massive boost in that spot in a very specific set of circumstances. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. With the basketball season heating up, there's no better way to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA teams and stars than with Prize Picks. And whether you know tons or little bits or whatever you want to do and battle with your mates, whatever it is, Prize Picks makes it fun and easy to turn that knowledge into cash. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. You look at LeBron, do you think he's going to drop 30? Well, you can choose more or less. Maybe you want to look at Trae Young and assist numbers. Maybe you want to look at the GOAT Isaiah Collier and his assist numbers. Do all that, get your predictions in, get your numbers in, and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. So easy to do when you do win. Well, you can get your money fast, sometimes as fast as 15 minutes. So now is the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That is right. There's no need to win to get the bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. I know it can be hard at times to follow that sort of streaming stuff. But look, again, just to be clear, the easiest thing to do is turn a 3-game player or a 2-game player into 6 games, ignoring Saturday. Easiest way to do it. You have 1 ad left over, you're good. Otherwise, what you want to do is find Nets Tuesday, Wednesday, Blazers for the rest of the week after you drop someone on Monday. It's the easy one is finding the Tuesday, Wednesday Nets back-to-back. Finding the appropriate Blazer, and again, if we talk minutes, total minutes, it's useful. It's useful to talk total minutes because, we might look at, who cares if I get 3 games out of Chris Murray? And I'm just going to bring up Chris Murray's name a lot because he's playing a decent chunk at the moment. Like Chris Murray's minutes recently, 29, 23. 15, 20, 21, 27, 20. That's his last 7 games. That's enough. But, yeah, last game, Jabari Walker played 20. All right, maybe that works. Banton got 25 minutes and 19 minutes. Okay. They're a hard one to tap into, but for some of you, it'll align correctly, I believe. And that is where, once you find it aligning correctly, it can work for you. Let's talk about some quirks in the NBA schedule for this week. There are 2 teams, Indiana and San Antonio. Their first game is Thursday. So I've got them under the first game Wednesday, but I've been sneaky. I put an asterisk on there to show you that no, their first game is actually Thursday. But then there is 3 other teams, Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, and Sacramento, whose first game is not until Wednesday. Now, we talked about the Thunder as having one of the better schedules. A 3-game team with 3 quality games. But they don't play the first 2 days of the week. Be aware of that. There are 3 situations where teams have 3 days off. Now, the obvious ones are the 2-game teams. Indiana and San Antonio. They don't play Monday to Wednesday. They're traveling to go to France. But the other one that's a little bit sneaky in there is New York. They don't play Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. And that means that then their next game is Saturday, a 14-game day. Now, you don't have many streamers on the Knicks. McBride or Achua, maybe. But if you did have those players, that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday that you wouldn't use them. So they're useless. There are a couple of periods here for teams that have got 1 game in 5 nights. And we've talked about how bad the Pacers run is. Between Sunday and Thursday, the Pacers play 1 game in 5 nights. Between Monday to Friday, the Pacers play 1 game in 5 nights. So do the Spurs. And then there's the Knicks with that 1 game in 5 nights, Wednesday to Sunday. And then that 1 game is on the Saturday with 14 games on, which is obviously not usable. But again, if that was a different team that wasn't the Knicks, you'd be like, oh my God, what do I do with this player? But you're not dropping Brunson or Towns or Bridges or Anunoby or Hart. If you were trying Achua because Towns has been out, then obviously that's not going to be worth a hold. But that is, again, going to cater to minimal people. Let's talk about 3 game in 4 night runs from teams at this portion of the season in week 14 and Sunday through to Wednesday. You're going to see a lot of names repeat here, by the way. Sunday through to Wednesday, Brooklyn and the Clippers. 3 games in 4 nights. Obviously bad for Kawhi, good for other Clippers. The Nets, bad for whatever they decide to do. D'Angelo Russell, Cam Johnson, Ben Simmons. Cam Thomas still probably not back, but they could be sitting anybody during this period. Monday through to Thursday. 3 games in 4 nights. Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Golden State, and the Clippers. A couple of things that really should stand out to you there. Boston, Horford, Porzingis. There's a Friday, Saturday back-to-back going on now, and I don't even know if they're going to play in it. They might actually play, which is wild, but we'll see. Horford hasn't played a back-to-back in 6 years, so we'll see what goes on. And that's an exaggeration, but it's also not. Dallas with Kyrie, Golden State with Steph, and the Clippers with Kawhi. There's a 3 game in 4 night period there, so watch it. Tuesday to Friday, it's the Blazers. We've talked about them already, but they've got 3 games in 4 nights there. Wednesday to Saturday, a lot of teams have it, but that's because every team bar the Thunder and the Blazers play on Saturday. So Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Cleveland, Dallas, Golden State, Clippers, Memphis, Milwaukee, New Orleans, and Sacramento play 3 games in 4 nights there. And to end the week, you're talking about Thursday through to Sunday. Well, it's only one team. It's only Portland, and they miss out on Saturday. So they play Thursday, Friday, Sunday. And you're going to have Donovan Clingan maybe not available. You're going to have DeAndre Ayton maybe sitting one. You're going to have Rob Williams sitting one of those games. It's going to be wild in terms of figuring out who's actually playing through that time frame for the Portland Trailblazers. The next part we look at is the 4 game in 6 night periods, just to see how that schedule plays out from Sunday through to Friday. It's the Clippers. It's Portland. From Monday to Saturday, a lot of teams, but that's because of the 14-game Saturday. Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Cleveland, Dallas, Golden State, the Clippers, Memphis, and New Orleans. And then Tuesday through to Sunday, it is only Portland who is in that spot. If we now go to look at a 5 game in 7 night period, there is actually a team that does have that. That is the Clippers. Sunday of week 13 into Saturday of week 14. The Clippers have 5 games, 7 nights. So not great for Kawhi. We'll see what it means for Harden, but they're probably the 2 ones. But otherwise, by the end of that by the end of that time frame, that 5 and 7 players are tired. You get bad performances. Blowout risk increases towards the end of that for the Clippers. So be aware of that. If If we look at 5-game in 8-night periods, there are quite a few of these little situations popping up across the league. I said there's Sunday to Saturday. It should actually be Sunday to Sunday. It's the Clippers and Portland, so starting Sunday of week 13 to the end of week 14, Clippers and Portland have got 5 games in 8. And then Monday, the start of week 14 to Monday, the start of week 15, a lot of teams have got 5 in 8. Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Cleveland, Dallas, the Clippers, Memphis, and New Orleans have 5 games in 8 nights there. And the last one of these little schedule runs we look at before we talk about back-to-backs is 6 games in 9 nights. And it's Sunday of week 13 through to Monday of week 15. It is the Clippers. So again, bad news for Kawhi. Bad news for an increased load on James Harden. Bad news maybe if something creeps up with Zubats, who dealt with a calf issue not that long ago. So just watch that. Then we look at back-to-backs. And where there's not a huge amount of back-to-backs this week. Sunday to Monday, the Bulls and the Clippers. Monday to Tuesday, the Knicks. And then we know the Knicks are off until Saturday. Tuesday to Wednesday, the Nets. Wednesday to Thursday, here's where there are a lot of back-to-backs. Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Golden State, the Clippers, Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, and Sacramento. And lastly, I'm not going to tell you who's involved in a back-to-back on Friday, Saturday, because there are 14 games on Saturday. So, you know what? Doesn't matter. You're not streaming anybody in on Saturday. But Thursday to Friday, it's Portland, like we talked about. And Friday to Sunday, skipping the 14 games Saturday in the middle, it's also Portland. So they are the only team who's got that massive advantage towards the end of the week. Just hitting on the right players is going to be the tough thing to do. And finding them at the right time is also going to be, I think, at times a little bit challenging. We'll come back and talk more about who's injured and who's going to return and some weekly league stuff in a sec. Where did that just go? That's okay. We'll get there. Today's episode is brought to you by the big fellas over at FanDuel and FanDuel Sportsbook. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can go and bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. That is $300 to keep all of your action going. The FanDuel app, it's easy to navigate. There are so many different types of bets that you've got on there. Of course, there's the straight-up moneyline stuff. You've got the regular spreads. You've got totals for the game. You've got individual side totals. You've got anytime touchdown scorers. You have got player props, parlays, futures. It's all there. Multiple different sports as well, not just the NFL playoffs. So visit FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season, unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, let's come in now, and now we're going to talk about, so just try and remove that, injuries. Yeah, it's time to look at injuries and who's in and who's out and how we view it for the week. These aren't always going to be 100% accurate. We do our best with the information that's available, but these guys are players that I don't think we expect to see this week. Mitchell Robinson, Christian Wood, Jordan Clarkson, if we see him again at all, Jabari Smith Jr., John Kuminga, and this is the one that we needed to get to, and that's Brandon Miller. Now, I'm just going to go in and double check the actual pronunciation, not even check the pronunciation, check what on earth the name of this injury is, because we saw that Miller was ruled out on Friday with the wrist issue, and then towards the end of the games on Friday, a report came out, I think it was from Rod Boone, telling us that the other Brandon Miller has a tear in a ligament of his wrist, as I just try and find where that is. A torn scapholionate ligament in his right wrist. Okay. Now, originally they listed it as a wrist sprain. Now, as you're well aware, and I'm sure maybe you are, maybe you aren't, a sprain is a tear. It's the degree of what we think. And I think when people colloquially say tear, they say tear as in ripped all the way through. Like it's a bit of paper, it's gone, at least 50% of the way through. Whereas a little nick in the edge of something is a tear as well. And that's generally what we call a sprain versus a tear, but they're all sprains. Grade 3 is all the way through, grade 2 is full like halfway through, and grade 1 is small amount, whatever it is, however you want to classify it. So Ingram's, they've reported now, he has a tear of this scapholionate ligament in his right wrist. And we don't know what sort of mode of treatment or the degree of this tear. The fact that they changed it to tear in putting out that information publicly to me suggests this is at least grade 2, maybe grade 3, which also suggests that maybe surgery is coming. And if it is surgery, that is done. That is season over. That is a 6-month recovery period. From everything that I've seen, and I've actually had people tell me, hey, I actually had this injury, it's a bloody long time. So, all the medical journal stuff that I read about it, the colloquial, what's the right word? You know what I mean? Like the N1 samples of people. What's that word? That's annoying me. It's annoying me. I need to find words. Can't find the word. Anyway, if you know what the word I'm trying to think of, it's not anecdotal because it's someone telling me that. But anyway, irrespective of any of that stuff, this is almost, I don't know for sure, but I am very, very certain. I'm not certain. I'm very confident that is season over for Miller. So last game with him out, it wasn't Seth Curry that started. It was Nick Smith Jr. and he was solid. I would consider Nick Smith an add in all deep leagues. If you sit here in a double onyx, diamond, titanium, platinum, palladium league, he's probably already gone. But I would be looking in 20s, 18s, 16s, maybe 14s Nick Smith. Seth Curry had some value in the past against Josh Green. There's Josh Okogie, the two Joshes. Cody Martin, maybe, but they're hit or miss, right? They're hit or miss sort of players. The one to watch would be Trey Mann, because Trey Mann, earlier in the season, when Miller was out for the 25th millionth time, Mann was great. My problem with adding Trey Mann and thinking he's the solution, I don't think he plays again. I have said from basically the middle of November, my spidey senses, my stethoscope senses were tingling that this was a significant long-term injury that he probably wasn't coming back from, and nothing has been dispelled so far. Every time they go, yep, another 2 weeks, I don't think Trey Mann is returning. Now, he is, of course, a better option than Nick Smith if he does return, but at the moment, he's not there. I don't know if Trey Mann is coming back, so I think the better option is going to be taking a look at Smith. But you're going to have Smith, Green, Martin, maybe Okogie. Smith got the start. That's always going to be an elevated value over those other players just because they went to him in that spot. They want to see what he can do. They need some shot generation. The next question that people have asked is, does this mean it's more likely that the Melo ball is shut down? I don't think so. I don't think that's the thing. And as a general rule, unless someone gets hurt, the shutdown stuff happens the final 2 to 3 weeks of an NBA season, where fake injuries really... Now, obviously, Utah and Portland dispelling that. But Charlotte doesn't really have a history of that. Plus, new management, new ownership, new GMs, new training staff who have been, I think, much better than in the past. Much better. So I don't think this means, well, now Miller's gone, we don't need to see ball out there. And I wouldn't be making moves necessarily to get off of LaMelo because of a Miller injury. Now, you can because you think that he can't stay healthy, and that's your own prerogative to do that. But I don't think that this means now, all right, that's it for Melo. He's out and not playing. He's got 2 more weeks left and he's done. I don't think that is the case. The next bunch of injuries to take a look at. We've got Emmanuel Quickley. This isn't official, but I just think the fact that they've labeled it hip strain, groin strain, whatever, that probably keeps him out all week. No idea. Chet Holmgren, we got the update on him, and I know people were like, oh my God, this is terrible news. That's so bad. Like, what did you expect? The original thing said reevaluated in whatever it was, 10 weeks, and he got reevaluated. And also, the next part of the equation on Chet is the Thunder said, yeah, he'll be reevaluated again in 3 to 5 weeks. Not coming back in 3 to 5 weeks, reevaluated again in 3 to 5 weeks. So originally I had him around an All-Star break return, and then I pushed it to end of February. I think anytime, if you get him before, at any point in March, I think you'll be lucky. That 3 to 5 weeks puts that reevaluation in the middle of February, around trade deadline-ish sort of time. 5 weeks puts it after All-Star, and then it's reevaluation, and then we see whether he comes back. And that, to me, makes it, again, if you've got the open spot, you always hold. But I think that this is right on line with an iliac wing fracture timeframe. There is no shock or setback in this. This is what the timeline should be. Luka Doncic is going to be out. There's talk that he might return before the All-Star break, but if he does, it'd be just before, I would think. So he's obviously out this week. Joel Embiid, we got the report on his knee swelling up. He's out 7 to 10 days, so that puts him out of all week 14, and you know my take on Embiid. Herb Jones, I think season is over, but they haven't announced that. And then Donovan Clingan with the ankle. He might sneak back in towards the end of the week, but of course, Yeah, they've got a Thursday, Friday back-to-back. He won't play both of those, and maybe he plays on the Sunday. I don't know, but I'm going to be pretty certain they're going to be cautious with Klingon and another lower body injury that he suffered. In terms of guys that might play or might not, and we're unsure about, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missed the game with a wrist issue. I think he's fine. Jalen Johnson, we're slowly getting back. He's not being ruled out a day in advance now. They're calling him questionable, so I think he'll play. Towns in his thumb, I think he'll be okay, but we don't know. Ja Morant missed the last game with a foot soreness issue. Bro's just hurt every 4 games. It's just what happens. And we didn't even get a Scottie Pippen bump in that one. Frustrating. Derek Lively in his ankle, I'd say he returns. Denny Avdia in his ankle, I think, at the moment. I would say that he plays, and we want to have him for that, especially for that run down the end of the week. The next bunch of guys that we're just not sure on, we've got Paul George, who's got ankle soreness, and I think we are going to get, unfortunately now, with the way the Sixers are running and George just having groin and ankle issues now as well, and multiple knee bone bruises this season, we are going to get some problems here with George. I think Jalen Suggs returns this week. I think that Cam Johnson probably plays. Cam Thomas, debatable. Not sure if he's back or not. He probably plays maybe the end of the week, Thomas, but not that Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. Goga Badadze with the hip/concussion. I would expect him back during the week. And then Jeremy Grant's facial contusion. Well, of course, he was back, should have been back 3 weeks ago, but they're a lying, dirty-ass franchise, and he won't be there. Now, surely Jeremy Grant plays this week. If his facial contusion keeps him out another week, well, I will lose my mind. I will lose my mind. Who else? Brad Beal. DiVincenzo out again for the toe. Brandon Pajemski should be returning this week. Isaiah Hartenstein, maybe the end of the week. Marcus Smart is about set to have that timeline reevaluated to return, so he could come back during the week. Not that we're adding him. And then Brandon Ingram, we haven't had any updates at all on this guy. Maybe he returns. I honestly have no idea. They're just giving us absolutely nothing on Ingram and the status of his ankle. And then, of course, there's the 2 garbage situations in Utah. Just watch for when they play bad teams. So Larry Marketing and the back spasms, John Collins with a personal hip. Yeah, no idea. Absolutely no idea. Are they reverse trade showcasing John Collins? I know people think that John Collins is good. He's not. But he did put up good fantasy numbers. There's a difference to that. So people say, well, there's got so many chances of him to go to a different team and put up great numbers. It depends. The team that wants John Collins is probably a team that's good, and then he gets there. He will not play that same role. There's no way. There's no way. Also, the Kings allegedly just keep trying to get power forwards. Hey, we want Kyle Kuzma. Let's go for John Collins. So what does that mean? That Keegan Murray plays 28 minutes, or the guy coming in plays 18? What the hell are you doing? Anyway, Jeremy Sohan and his back issue probably plays, but I don't know. And then Franz Wagner, I would say, is a lock to return towards the end of that week. His injury is healed, and we saw them ramp Paolo Banchero up for 2 weeks. This will be about 2 weeks for Wagner. He should be ready to go. Let's look at weekly leagues to finish this off, and some guys that we can add off the wire, and what we do with the 2-game teams and how we start or sit them. So these players are available on the wire in 60% plus of Yahoo leagues, and the schedule works in their favor. Tamani Kamara, Najee Marshall, Spencer Dinwiddie, Brandon Clark, Scoot Henderson. This is for weekly leagues. You don't worry about the fact that Portland's got the great schedule to end the week. It doesn't matter. We're just talking about 4-game players here who are available in a lot of spots, who you'd probably just start this week anyway. And now we look at the 2-game teams. So it's Indiana, it's San Antonio. I think it's pretty obvious. The only 2 guys that you would start are Tyrese Haliburton, shout out to Snow Day, and Victor Wembanyama. Don't start anybody else. There's no point. Haliburton, Wemby, don't overthink it. That's it. And that is a Week 14 preview. Matchup 13 in Yahoo and other spots. It is a more complicated week because of a 1-game day and a 14-game day, which is just absolutely insane scheduling, but whatever. Pay attention to it. Find if you can fit that unique scenario in your league, if it makes sense for you. See if that works out. Otherwise, take it easy. Use the 1 spot. Get some extra games in. Preserve some ads for different scenarios. And we're good. Most importantly, though, well, not most importantly, sort of important, hit a thumb and subscribe on the video and follow the podcast wherever you do that. But what is most important is that you guys do something good. Do something nice. Do something positive. Don't need to tear down others to bring yourself up. We can all actually just be brought up. We can bring ourselves up. And even if someone else doesn't do it, well, this guy didn't say anything nice to me. Why should I say it to him? Why not? hate, what is it? Hate begets hate. Let's be positive. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.